All right, so Taj, we got a big Monday night football game coming up. The Chiefs versus the Ravens. Most people think these are the two best teams in the NFL this year. And I agree. I mean, definitely the Ravens. The Chiefs look pretty average starting the season, but we know what they're capable of. And the Ravens, we know definitely what they're capable of with Lamar Jackson and that defense and that secondary too. So who do you have winning this Monday night football matchup?
Oh, this is a tough one for me. I don't like either of these teams, to be honest. This is a tough one. These are two winning MVPs, both 25 years or younger. First time we've seen this happen, two MVPs facing each other 25 or younger. Um, it's a tough one, but I'm going to Chiefs this game. I mean, like Baltimore from top to bottom have the best roster in the NFL. I just want to get out of that. That's the best roster in the NFL. I mean, the defense is probably everyone is talking about Lamar Jackson, but the defense is number one in the league as well. Like I
Yeah.
don't think people realize that. But I'm going to take Chiefs in this game because Baltimore, they're going to try to control the ball. They're going to try to control the clock. Have Lamar running around doing what he usually does. But we've seen from Patrick Mahomes, you can take up much time off the clock as you want. This guy only need like 40 seconds to score. I watched that game with Kansas City and the Chargers last week, and the Chargers, they were dominating that game. But it was still a one-score game. It was like 17-9 heading in the fourth. And if you watch the game, it was like, damn, the Chiefs are playing so terrible. And the Chargers just look like they're playing their best football we have seen since 2 years ago when they played the Patriots in the AFC playoffs. And next thing you know, Patrick Mahomes comes on, boom, Tyreek Hill downfield, 60-yard play. They score within like 40 seconds. I'm like, how is this team doing that? So I think at the end of the day, it's Baltimore's going to try to, they're going to try and play groundhog game. They're going to try run the ball down the Chiefs' throat, but I don't think they'll get away with that because that defensive front line with the Chiefs with Chris Jones, he's a monster. Chris Jones is the top 3 defensive player in the NFL right now. Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, and I'll give you Khalil Mack. They're the top 3. Chris Jones, he's dominant. I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to be as dominant against him because he gets after. He's going to be putting Lamar in some trouble, and they're going to force Lamar to throw the ball. Both these teams have deep threats. Hollywood Brown, he's not the fastest Tyreek Hill, but he's up there with the fastest guys in the league. But I think at the end of the day, the Chiefs, they just find some ways to make big plays no matter what the score is. Like that offense is just too potent. Like I don't see the offense is too potent. I don't see them getting in such a big hole against the Ravens where they can't come back. So I'm taking the Chiefs in this game.
Yeah, I think I feel like the Ravens will take this one because just because the way they've been playing. But I could never write up the Chiefs and the Ravens how they run the ball so effectively they could easily win time of possession. Like they'll control the ball for like 40 minutes of the game, and it's not even fair. But Patrick Mahomes, he only is big play is big plays with that team, and you can never count them out. Like even if they're down 2 scores, we saw the last playoff run. They was down double digits in each one of the games, and they came back. So like you can never count these guys out. But I think just what I've seen through the first 2 weeks, I think the Ravens will take this one. They can't. What the Ravens can't do though is fall behind because then they can't run the ball. We've seen Lamar Jackson when he has to throw the ball, he's relatively ineffective. And I've been watching that games like he just kind of throws the football like a baseball, like he just doesn't have really much of the proper technique. He just kind of throws it casually. He doesn't, I don't know. And none of his throws are like really like on target, spot on. They're kind of like off to the side or a little low because, he does that like a sidearm thing a lot. He likes to do that. But they can't fall behind to the Chiefs. And then if they fall behind, is pretty much a wrap. But if it'll test Lamar Jackson early, because they can't, every game, you play, you won't be ahead, and you can't run the ball and control the clock. Like you're gonna have to take that drive down the field at the end of playoff games. So we see Tom Brady do many times. Like, we got to do an 80-yard drive. You can't run the ball. You got to go down the field in a minute. We need you to throw the ball. We need you to get first down, get us there. And that's what I want to see. I want to see Lamar Jackson in that situation. I want to see him succeed because, I think he can do it, but he hasn't shown that yet. So they can't fall behind to the Chiefs. I picked them to win this game.
The Ravens, they have a great secondary, probably one of the best in the league. They released Earl Thomas, and they're probably still the best secondary in the league. I mean, with Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphreys, those guys, they're elite cornerbacks, 2 Pro Bowl cornerbacks. But Mecole Hardman, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, like you can have to double up Travis Kelce. And then you can have to do something with Tyreek Hill. Like, you can't just leave him out there. So I just think the Chiefs have too much weapons. And what people ain't even saying, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, this guy, he's coming out the backfield, catching 7 passes a game, running for 130 yards. Like, the Chiefs can very well control the clock as well. We saw what they did in week 1 against the Texans. Patrick Mahomes, he only threw the ball like 20 times. They control the clock by running the ball. But I just think the Chiefs have too much firepower. Baltimore, I think Lamar Jackson, I think he kind of fades off in the big games. Like honestly, I don't want to sound like a hater. I don't want to sound like, he's still young, but the guy's an MVP. We have the right to say, you're not showing up in the big game. You're the MVP. I don't care how young you are. We have the right to say you're not showing up in the big game. I think Lamar, he doesn't really play his game in the big games. Yeah. Like, he usually gets in a little deficit, and then he starts to play better, and then it's not enough. So I just think, like, going up against the reigning Super Bowl champs in the Chiefs and that offense with the Chiefs, I just think Lamar I just don't think he'll have enough to overcome the amount of points. Because to beat the Chiefs, you have to score at least 30 points if you want to beat the Chiefs. I know if you want to beat them, you have to score with 30 points. Like, they're going to put up about 30 points per game. Like, that's the kind of offense they have. So I just don't think the Ravens have the firepower to put up 30 points because the Chiefs defense is pretty good as well. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I think I think the Chiefs will take this one. I think Mahomes probably goes for 350 yards. I think Kelce will be the one to go off today because I think Peters and Humphrey will be doubling Tyreek because they don't want a big plays. I think Kelce will go off about 100 yards. I think Clyde Edwards, he get about 7 catches, probably about 90 or so rushing yards. I think Chiefs are in this one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, but I don't want obviously if Lamar Jackson struggles again, in a big game, it'll look bad, but I wouldn't jump all over him or write him off because, like you said, he's still young and, it's still a regular season and it's only the 3rd game, no preseasons, none of that. So it's relatively early. But if I agree with you, if he does it again in the playoffs this year, because that'll be 3 years back to back in the playoffs, so he doesn't show up, he's a no-show, then it's a wrap for him. He got that.
No, I'm saying big game, not just the playoffs, but this is a big game. This is almost like this is getting marketed as almost a playoff game. This is a big game, not necessarily playoff, but for the regular season, this is the biggest game of the season for them in terms of marketing and the amount of people that will be watching. This is the big game for them. So I don't know. I think it'd be a great game, but I'll be excited to watch. I think it'd be a great game.
Yep.